Title: In Her Eyes, Episode 4, Feed the Fire. The email sat in my inbox like a landmine. From Shreyasi Roy. Subject: Good. Now keep going. No attachments. No message. Just those 5 words. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. My eyes stayed locked on the screen as if blinking might erase her or summon her. By the time the sun scraped over the rooftops outside Nia's window, I was spiraling. I opened the document again, hands trembling, typed another line. Then another. It came out fast, like she was dictating, not me. Scenes I'd repressed, things I told myself never happened. The night she screamed at me for twisting her into poetry. The time she found the early drafts and burned them in a metal bin behind the pub. I wrote the betrayal, the jealousy, the control. By midday, I had 8 more pages. Unflinching, messy, honest. When Nia woke up, I was still there. She poured coffee, peered over my shoulder. That's not the voice you usually write in. It's not fiction anymore. That's why it's working. She sat down beside me, looked more serious than I'd ever seen her. Damon, I know you think this will make it stop. That telling the truth will exorcise her, but it won't if you don't forgive yourself first. I don't want forgiveness. I want her to leave me alone. Maybe that's the same thing. The flat buzzed, not from within but from something outside. A faint whine. The street lamp directly outside Nia's window flickered in broad daylight. Glitched like it was stuck in a loop. I stood slowly and pulled back the curtain. Someone stood across the street, too far to make out her face. But I knew. Long dark coat, crimson scarf, hair coiled like shadow around her shoulders. I blinked and she was gone. I turned to Nia. She was there, watching. She didn't laugh, didn't doubt me. Okay, she said, let's make a plan. That night, we set up surveillance, simple stuff. Phone on record mode, laptop camera rolling, Nia's GoPro stuck to the wall. 3 angles. I went back to writing, scene after scene. The time I caught her crying in the bathroom, notebook clenched in her hands, and instead of comforting her, I took it from her and used the poem inside as a blog post without credit. How? I cut her out of the launch party invite, claimed I was protecting her from the press, when really I didn't want her speaking to anyone. How I ghosted her for 3 days after the crash when she tried to reach me, tried to explain. The version of the crash I had written was wrong. A lie. We hadn't spun out of control because of a storm. I had been speeding, drunk on ego after the blog went viral. She tried to grab the wheel. I called her a parasite. She screamed. The car veered off. I crawled away, left her there. I stopped writing. That was the line I had never crossed. I checked the cameras. The GoPro feed was static. The laptop had stopped recording. The phone had a new lock screen. Truth has a cost. Pay in full. The air in the room changed. Cold, but not physical, like something spiritual had cracked open. I turned to the window. She was inside, standing in the corner, half shadow, half memory, her eyes like mirrors, empty but reflecting me. Now you remember, she said. I couldn't speak. You were supposed to die with me, but you wrote your way out. You left me in a burning story. There was no fire, not on the road. In you. She stepped closer. The smell of damp leaves and something older ash maybe followed her. Finish it, Damon. The whole truth, or I'll finish it for you. She vanished. I collapsed. Nia found me an hour later, shivering and soaked in sweat. She played back the recordings. Nothing. Just silence. But the document on my laptop had a new sentence I hadn't typed. He still doesn't remember what he did after the crash. But I do. The line on the screen wouldn't stop blinking. He still doesn't remember what he did after the crash. But I do. That sentence sat there like a coffin lid, sealed and waiting. I sat frozen at Nia's kitchen table while she microwaved leftover curry like it was a normal night. It wasn't. My brain kept replaying the moment she appeared in the room, Shreyasi, or whatever she was now, and her voice, as real as my own heartbeat. What do you think happened after the crash? I asked Nia, my voice hoarse. She looked up from her bowl, chewing slowly. You said she vanished. I remember crawling out, calling for her. Then, nothing. But that line I do. It means there's more. Something worse. Nia put the bowl down. Maybe it's not about remembering. Maybe it's about owning it. What you were. Who you were. I turned the screen toward her. You think she wrote that? Either her or your guilt did. Does it matter? Yeah. I snapped. Because if she's real, then I'm not crazy. But if she's not, then I'm not just a coward. I'm sick. You might be both. I blinked. People carry trauma in different ways, Damon. Doesn't make it less real. Doesn't make her any less here. If she's lodged in your head deep enough. My hands trembled. What if she never died? What if she disappeared on purpose? What if all of this is her revenge tour? Nia narrowed her eyes. Then we find out for sure. We drove out of the city before dawn. Fog clung to the road like second skin. The route to the crash site had been burned into my mind, at least the way I remembered it. Rural stretch. Trees that leaned in like voyeurs. A rusted sign half buried in ivy that once read Somerset Vale. When we arrived, it looked like the land had tried to forget. No wreckage. No skid marks. Just soft moss and damp silence. But I felt it. Like gravity had hiccuped. I stepped off the road and into the woods, and every footstep felt like it echoed into timelines. Nia followed, phone flashlight bouncing shadows off tree trunks. Then we found it, charred metal, half a bumper, a melted seatbelt buckle. I fell to my knees. She was here. I whispered, there's more. Nia said. She pointed to a blackened tree trunk. Something had been carved into the bark. D+S equals truth 0214. 23 Valentine's Day. The day the blog blew up. The day I posted the first fictionalized version of the crash. My stomach turned. She saw it, I muttered. She saw me rewrite her. I ran my fingers over the bark. Beneath the carving, something glittered. A locket. I pried it loose. Inside was a tiny photo, her face smiling. Real, not imagined, not haunting, just Shreyasi. And on the back, you owe me an ending. Back in the city, things began to twist. My publisher called. The contract was being questioned. Legal had flagged disturbing inconsistencies. A reader had sent them an anonymous package copies of my blog, with margin notes in red ink, the same red ink as the notes left in my flat. Every time I lied, it had been marked, lie, lie, lie. They think you plagiarized someone named Shreyasi Roy, the publisher said. Is that true? I didn't answer, because in a way it was. I didn't steal her words. I stole her life, cut it into narrative beats, cleaned her edges, gave her neat monologues and tragic motivation. I didn't write her. I processed her. That night, I tried to burn the manuscript. The paper wouldn't catch. I watched the flame lick the corner of the first page and die, again and again, until finally, I gave up, left it on the desk. The next morning, it was gone. In its place was a single page. The day she died, you walked away. The day she lived again, you started writing. Now stop pretending you don't know. How this ends. A newspaper clipping was stapled to it. Local news. Blurred photo. Body discovered in forest outside Somerset. Authorities reopen cold case. No name, but I recognized the bracelet on the wrist. Shreyasi. Dead. Found. End of episode 4.